I want to express myself and have the freedom and be able to gain abundance through being myself authentically. I think that the support from the coaches and the business perspective to how to weave who I'm being and who my essence is into creating an offer that is aligned for my client. I am Adwoa, the sacral sorceress. I am I am evolving. I really feel like this last year, taking the time to uncover my essence and get into like, who am I being and who is that version of me who I want to be. I have definitely, even in the container, I became the sacral sorceress. That was the vibration that I feel like is most aligned with me right now. I am in the process of launching and putting out my offer, which would be a Shakti awakening, to really start tapping into that yin feminine energy. I realized that there is a lot of ways that we be that are very young. And for me, as a feminine essence being, it is important for me to tap back into and create space for the yin version of myself. I've been just leaning into who more Shanti is and what she brings forth. And right now, I feel like a big part of that is sacral energetics healing, because as a feminine essence being, our womb, our sacral chakra is where all of our emotions, all of our creativity, our intuition, all of that comes in. That's who I am and what I'm up to these days. What was happening in my life before I decided to work with the Royal Shaman? When I first came across Makosi, she talked about like working with high achieving conscious royals, and I did not feel like that was me. And I was like, how do I get to that version of me? I had just gotten back from a tour in Africa where I very much ventured out to see how it would be to create my own life, my own community, my own family out in the motherland. All of that came crashing down as soon as I got it. Like my relationship, my like the land, the entire everything blew up like overnight. And I was very, very in a dark place. And she just she spoke, the message that resonated with me most was like, if you've achieved everything that you felt like you wanted to achieve and you still don't feel fulfilled. And I think ultimately that was the place that I was in, but I also did want to call in more abundance and financial abundance and just overall fulfillment. And I was just really excited to work with her. Her energy was like always just so radiant. So I was just really excited to see what that transformation would look like for me. Maybe I just wanted it to be like a magic wand. I wanted her to just kind of like tell me what to do to make my life better. So I think that maybe just more like a step by step. You're going to do this and then you're going to have this. But what I found on the other hand of that, it was the complete opposite. It's like you're going to emerge into a being, and who you are being is going to really reflects back into your life. So if you are being abundant, you are going to have more abundance. But like, I think everything was from a like that big shift from the yang way of being to the yin way of being, like how you thought everything was going to be very linear. Like I was going to get through the program and she was going to tell me what to do next. And I was going to have $1 million business. I would definitely say it's more of like feeling into the feeling that I think freedom is going to give me rather than the freedom that I thought that I wanted. A lot of times it's like, okay, time freedom or money freedom. And I think now it's more of just like the freedom to express and be. Um, and who I be requires more time and money. So it's definitely shifting that perspective to the be, do, have, rather than the have, do, be. Sometimes I used to feel like freedom could only be achieved when fill in the blank, when I did make $1 million in my business or whatever of the other things that I wanted. So freedom to me now is just really to be expressed in my authentic self and still achieve and have the tangible freedoms, the physical, the financial, the time freedom. So I think that's the biggest difference. I can definitely say that slowing down and experiencing the yin rather than the yang, I have been able to really create my dream life. I moved to Mexico and just decided to rest and take care of myself. And in that time, I've made more money than I have made like working a job or how I felt that I would have needed to achieve those things. I always thought it was like before I joined the container, I always heard like other people saying like, yeah, I worked less and I made more money. And I'm like, well, how did you do that? Like, how is that even possible? But if I'm honest and I sit back and reflect, like I have worked less and made more money. The only slight difference is it didn't come in the way that I thought that it would come or doing what I thought that I would be doing. So it was like a whole nother channel and avenue of revenue that became available just by allowing myself to rest. Because had I not rested, I would have pushed myself to come up with a way to make more money. And that probably would have taken a lot more action. I would just say my life overall has so much more space. I've allowed so much more space for me to um, allow things to evolve and unfold and uncover rather than pushing myself to figure things out or make a decision, learning that life is cyclical rather than linear. Like that is one of my biggest go-to references. Sometimes it seems the old paradigm is like you do follow the steps, you get to the result, you get this and this outcome. And I think just letting that go and identifying that that's not really how this experience works saves me from, let's say, creating narratives that don't serve me. Like, oh, because I did these things and I didn't get this thing, I can understand that maybe I don't know what causes what. and where that next thing is going to come from and how it's going to evolve, but resting in the knowing that it is evolving for my highest good. Do I have a story of success that wouldn't be possible without this? I think it's all in the being. Like, who am I being? And just trusting that if I'm being and if I'm putting in that 1% aligned action, another thing is I can be a uh, perfectionist. And as a Manny Gen, I want to do all of the things. And I think letting go of having to do all of the things to have what I want or what is in my highest good has been the biggest shift in like how I view success. So the success itself isn't like the end goal, and I can feel successful in the being, in the journey, and becoming. What do I think that is possible now that I've worked with the Royal Shaman? Um, well, I definitely feel like the possibilities are limitless, because my essence is limitless. And when you really understand that your essence is expanded and that you you can adopt a new view that who you are is going to be supported and who you are is already supported, I think you begin to like release some of those expectations and some of those boxes that you put yourself in. So, yeah, I really feel like who I am and what my potential is has really opened up, and it's been empowering to see another woman of color that is making having financial abundance, being able to raise her children, support her child, be who she is, and have the things that her essence desires, but still be who she is. I chose to continue after my initial year with the Royal Shaman. Well, the next phase, or I really bought into the Your Quantum Business course. That was one. And I also realized that the support that I was getting from the coaches were huge. Like, I felt I was just able to talk out what I was going through and see where I was believing some things that were maybe limiting or my perspective was limited. And I feel like the first year I spent focusing on me and my essence and who I was being. And I felt like it was just right for the next thing to be is to how to show that to the world and how to bring my offerings to the world through my business, because that's part of where I want to express myself and have the freedom, and then also be able to gain abundance through being myself authentically. So I think that the support from the coaches and the business perspective to how to weave who I'm being and who my essence is into creating an offer that is aligned for my clients. What I would tell someone who is considering working with the Royal Shaman, um, I would say if you're ready for a transformation, that is what you're going to get. I would say that who you are being is so much more limitless than your current perspective. And the biggest thing is like you can surely do the work on your own. But the support that you get is uncomparable to trying to do it on your own. Like, regardless, you're going to need someone. I think too often we get into like feeling like we can do it on our own. And this container has definitely been unmatched with the amount of support you get, who you are able to show up as, and just being your authentic self. And there's levels to it. Like, and having the support to have that reflected back to you is priceless. So go for it. Quantum business has been a lot. Um, but it does help me a lot with seeing, like, from a aligned perspective, who I'm here to serve and what I'm here to bring forward. Because a lot of other business courses are cookie cutter. Like, you follow my steps, you follow my strategies, and you get XY result. Well, I've done that a couple times and I'm still trying to get that result. And I also understand that like copying and speaking to the essence of my client is going to be so much more rewarding than what it is that I can logically think through. So it's just, again, another paradigm shift. Like, it's like the paradigm shift of me being me, and then now who I am and who I'm offering to, or like who I'm attracting, and those types of things. So I am really excited to see all of those things come together. And I think it's going to be like most beneficial for my business because I'm building it from a space of authenticity and alignment rather than like, oh, I'm good at this and these are the people that are coming. I can just be more, speak more to who it is that I'm wanting to work with.